Welcome to POSCA Wednesday, where I show up every week and work in this sketchbook and build a world in it, one page at a time. You name the life in it, and I ink it to existence. Let's begin. Last week, we got pretty far on a lot of the underwater life. We finished up our last critter, the starfish. We did some plant life underneath down on the ocean floor. We built this rock for the starfish to live on, our buddy starfish. This is hopefully the last episode here. We'll have the rest of it completed, and next week I'll have a story, and maybe we might have one more video on some completion stuff. But this will be the last video for naming the critters. Whatever you guys come up with, I'll random generate it, and we'll name the critters. The critters will all have names next episode. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, what I want to do next is come into some of this marine life and finish that stuff up. And we'll do that by outlining a lot of this. Okay. Just come in and draw where we see these. It's been a week, so I'm just gotta kind of go with it here. See where about those things are fluttering around at. And separate them from each other. About like that, huh? How was your guys' week? You guys do anything exciting for the rest of your week? Going into the weekend? Watch any movies or anything like that? Belle and I just chilled. We did watch some TV. We didn't do much though. We went riding a little bit. But other than that, it's just been business as usual in the studio for Bella and I. There we go. Yeah, this part of it here is super enjoyable for me. Just trying to sew things up, seeing where things could use some improvement, and just kind of going from there. A lot of this is just line work, line art. So we're gonna dial it all in. All right. This is where it really comes alive. Our little underwater sea world. It's so much fun, you guys. I really like this time, just hanging out and drawing. And I like to hear what you guys are drawing, and if you're drawing along with me. This is a great time to draw along with somebody. I mean, you're listening. Just does a lot to your psyche as far as what's going on when you're drawing. It could help you in your drawing. So, get a little more of those lines defined. All right. That kind of thing. So, all right. Oh, that's right. Can't forget about our little coral friends. They're our friends too, right? Coral. They're alive too. There's life in that. All plants are alive. You know, your interpretation of things can change from week to week. Or as you progress in your sketchbook, as you get better at something, your perception of something might change a little bit. And how you're seeing the shapes, overall shapes of something. Like last week when I think it was last week, we were doing this stuff over here. No, it was the week before, excuse me. We were doing this algae over here, and I was noticing I did one that had the flip on it, and I was like, you know, like a banner, and I was like, I remembered that. So coming over here this week, I did a lot of that in here, into this one. So, yeah, that kind of thing. You can change from week to week. You can get better, you know, as the time goes on, time goes forward. Or if you do really long draw sessions, you can really benefit from that as well. So, what I mean by long draw sessions, like drawing for a few hours, you know, hours. I don't really necessarily deal with artist block or whatever they call that. It's not really a thing. I mean, there has been times in my life where it's like, oh man, you know, I mean, I feel like I'm just stuck somewhere in my head, you know, kind of thing. But that doesn't happen so much anymore. It's just, you know, there's too many things to be inspired by. And I think once you have a pretty decent set of tools in your tool bag, you know, it's hard to get bored with it. So it's hard to get that block. It's, you know, it's art producing time. It's not time to sit there and sulk and think, oh, I can't think of anything to draw. Dude, whatever. I get over that real quick. That's a boring place to be. I think by having multiple projects going at once, and I think a lot of people are probably like that, they like to draw. They like to have more than one project going at a time. I think keeping yourself held accountable on those projects by doing things like, you know, writing and scheduling times, slotted times for that stuff, and sticking with it, I think keeps you motivated, keeps you going on that stuff. So I think it's important to do that. I think it's important to have that mentality that okay, I'm going to start a project and then I'm going to commit to it, and I'm going to be here every week on it. You know, don't be slacking. If you're slacking, it's, you know, it's going to show. Ain't no time for slacking, my friends. No time for slacking. You like to slack, it's on you. That might cost you, you know, cost you momentum on a project, or, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, there's different, you know, everybody's a little different, so I'm just saying, try not to slack. You know, try not to be like that. And try not to be lazy. No time for being lazy. I don't really identify with that too well. I've never been a lazy person. I've always been sort of a go-getter. I mean, it's always been part of my nature. Always been like that. Everything I do well. And that's not an ego. That's just how I carry myself. If you identify with that, say something. Say something about that. Tell us how you feel about that. How you feel about yourself. You know, it's important to have a high self-esteem. If you don't have a high self-esteem, it's going to show through in everything you do. From your work, your job, your friendships, your social life. I don't have a social life, so I don't know what that says about me. I have no social life. It's Bella and I. I will talk to my neighbors. I will talk to people when I'm out and about and moving around. But in general, yeah, no. I stay to my own. I stay to myself. I don't mess around with dealing with people too much. You know, being in relationships with anybody. Just because it can be, you know, it can be taxing. It could, you know, I got too much at stake. The older I get, the more I realize that, you know, all things under the sun are for me, but not all things are good for me. So you have to figure that out yourself. What's good for me might not be good for you, and vice versa. And you know, and that's okay. It's okay to be like that. That's what makes us different. That's what makes this world so enjoying, you know, and invigorating. I mean, it's, you know, if we sat around and sulked about how indifferent everything is all the time, then, you know, how would we, you know, we'd lose control of of who we are, you know. I mean, we lose focus. We lose sight of that, worrying about how indifferent everything is all the time. Okay. So with this orange, I did want to come in here with the pink. That's not the color. Let's do red. Even though we didn't do that over there on the other side. That's all right. See over here, we did do pink, but that's okay. You know, it's all about and where it's at, and you know how the plant lived its life, and you know how it grew. It might have had some extra plankton that it was feeding on. I think that's what coral eats. I'm not quite sure what coral eats, but you know, that made it a different color, a coral. And we'll respect that. We're okay with that. Now, while that's all drying and stuff, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna work on this water up above our shark. But before I do that, this is hollering at me. I want to establish this tail in there because this is where we're gonna be doing our writing of our story. Okay, now we're free to move about the cabin here. I'm gonna come in with this one first. Yeah, let's just go to town with it. We're gonna keep the same idea over here. And we're gonna leave some of it white for the seafoam action. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight lines because, you know, the seafoam isn't going to be perfectly straight up there either. It's going to have, you know, some dips and all that kind of stuff in it. Okay. Now we'll come in and we'll do some outlining on the shark in this color. You guys got yourself a set of POSCA pens yet? If not, what are you working with? What medium are you working in if you're drawing along, or are you just watching? When I was younger, some of my favorite shows was shows like Reading Rainbow, and I really liked Bob Ross. Just storytelling. I always liked storytelling stuff. It just allowed me to let loose, to listen, to imagine. Imagination's powerful, right? It just is. The reason why I'm going solid here with this blue is because when I come back with that darker blue, this blue will be there underneath, so I can streak it, with the blue. I guess you could call it feathering in with the darker blue to give it the transition, the sense of transition. Transition. So there's that. We're going to come over here with this. We're going to do some more outlining right under our shark. Maybe one day this shark will turn into being, eating something different. Even if you're a vegetarian, you still have to, you still have to eat, right? Plants are alive. I mean, it's always been a struggle of mine, is taking life just to sustain my own, even though it's so necessary. I know it's not an argument everybody likes to hear, but it's definitely a thought. Comes across my mind. It just does, because I love life. I respect life, and I guess you can respect life and still understand the full circle of life thing. But for me, it's just, it doesn't it doesn't make the concept any easier to bear, right? That you have to take life to survive. I think what I'm gonna do here is this second rock that's jutting out there. We're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna go right over that, because I think this blue is gonna pop with that green a lot more than what gray would. Okay. So we're literally gonna cover that rock up, and we're just gonna have this one heap of rock here jutting out. Jutting out. That's a word. Jutting out. Jutting out from the sea floor, friends. That's what it's doing. It's separating that big old bad shark from, all these other little critters that are moving about the sea floor. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot going on right here underneath the surface of that ocean. Right? Critters making a home here on the ocean floor, in the ocean. Part of the ocean's bounty. I guess that's the term. Yeah, that blue really does pop next to that green. Be careful back down there into that sea urchin. I don't want to accidentally cover him up. Or her. Doesn't have to be a him. Can be a her. Could be a girl sea urchin. If there's such thing, I don't know. If sea urchins are girls or boys, I don't know. If you know, let us know in the comment section. That's fine. I like to hear facts. I'm big on that. I like that kind of stuff. So, you know. Bella's over here. She is snoring, you guys. She is dreaming about mauling mice, probably. She's one that doesn't get hung up on all that, you know. I don't like to eat, you know, it's taking life kind of thing, you know. She doesn't worry about that. Not like I do. Yeah, I don't necessarily. I mean, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. It's just things that have crossed my mind in life. You guys hearing her? She is such a good girl. I'm telling you guys. She works hard, plays hard, chills hard. She just got it down. I mean, she really understands how to move about the cabin. I'm just going to work side by side or side to side here. You know, working in the surface of our ocean here. Kind of make a good transition here. Pin feels like it might be drying out a little bit, so we'll give it a prime pump. We might be running out of blue. Sometimes I got to get a different view on it, make sure that I'm not going too far with what I'm intending to do here. Okay, this is where I'll make my outline of my shark with the dark blue. I'm going to turn this another direction so I don't overdo it right here. A little bit's okay. All we're doing is taking that black back a little bit. Okay. Be careful we don't clip anything out of our shark here. That just about covers the water. I think that's okay. Then we're going to come in on this rock and we're going to go ahead and get that all gray. And hopefully, next video we'll have a story written and we'll have all the names for these critters. So you guys can see the story and everything come together here. Now this doesn't have to go side to side because there are going to be some ridges and things like that in this rock. See, like different shelving. That's why I'm leaving some of it kind of white like that for a second. Just so I can get the visual of how this rock is forming. This is a big rock. This is the rock, right? This is a big one. Come in here and get in there in between all the coral branches. So that we don't miss anything. So yeah, it's okay to color outside the lines sometimes, especially when you're doing stuff like this, you know. I mean, you got a whole scene here. It is the whole page. You can push and pull with these things. So that's another thing I used to tell myself when I was a kid. You can't color outside the lines, it'll look ridiculous. It depends on what you're doing. So, while that's true in most cases, it's not always true. So, there's that. If it's not always true, then it's not true at all. It's only true in some cases. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take this black over here. Get a nice little pile of black going. Purposely run our gray in there. And this will give our rock shadows in different areas. And we're just going to try to be random with it. Whoops. Just mark some of our algae with that gray. I'll have to remember where that is and go back and fix it. And as we lose some of the black off that gray, it'll be nice. It'll be fine. It's our rock house texture. It has character. And that's all we really need. We just need it to have character. We have to get it to make a little bit of sense. And I just do that by creating texture marks with that off white or off gray. Just a hint where there might be some values. All right. We are getting there on time, you guys. So in the next video, we'll finish it up and we'll have all the names of all the critters. So we can share our story and finish up a little bit of this topography that we need to do. Because this rock isn't done. We're getting the idea of where the shapes are going to be. So now I can see where some shapes are going to be in that. So on the next video, I'll be able to make short of what's going on here. But with that being said, you guys enjoyed this. Till next week, till next Wednesday, from Bella and I, peace.